the customer to pay more. And the customer is paying more, though sales are slowing down. Let me give you an example here.
I think consumers really need to just do their homework on it.
Consumers are going to have to be really strategic.
Correct.
Car sales are in free fall. Nearly 4,000 dealerships have already shut down, and experts warn 1 in 3 could vanish by 2025. These 7 markets are collapsing the fastest. Some may not even survive the year.
The reality of the situation is used and new car prices basically increased by over 30% in 1 year, and since then, they've remained.
Once upon a time, the certified pre-owned market was the Goldilocks option of car buying. Not too new, not too risky, just right. You got a car that looked and felt close to new, without paying the painful sticker shock. Dealerships loved it, buyers trusted it, and everyone walked away happy. But fast forward to 2025 and that middle ground all but vanished. Walk onto a lot today and those shiny certified stickers are missing in action. Dealer rows are jam-packed with lease returns from the 2020 and 2022 boom. But instead of being polished up as a trustworthy CPO inventory, they're just sitting, collecting dust, losing value every single day. The foundation of the CPO game has cracked wide open. Here's the ugly math. The average 3-year-old car now lists for just over $30,500, down more than 2% year over year. Sounds great for buyers, right? Wrong. For dealers, it's a nightmare. Certifying a car isn't free. It takes inspections, warranty extensions, and reconditioning that can run $1,000 to $2,000 a pop. When resale prices sink this fast, that investment flips from profit to loss. Some dealers have flat out admitted they've ditched certification altogether. Instead, they're moving the same cars as is with little more than a handshake and a flimsy in-house promise. And the fallout is obvious. The lots are clogged with vehicles that should have been CPO material but now sit unsold and unwanted. Buyers once eager to pay extra for the peace of mind look at the inflated price tags and shrug. Why would I pay almost new money for something that isn't new? Confidence collapses. Shoppers walk away, and once trust disappears, the whole system unravels. 3 forces are driving the implosion. First, depreciation is hitting like a wrecking ball. Cars that were absurdly overpriced during the pandemic are crashing back to earth, leaving dealers underwater. Second, sticker shock hasn't gone anywhere. Used cars are still so expensive they're brushing up against new car prices. Third, those razor-thin certification margins, they're killing profitability. Math just doesn't work anymore. And the ripple effects are brutal. With fewer cars getting certified, more are dumped at the wholesale auctions, flooding systems and driving prices even lower. Banks are catching on too. CPO cars used to mean safer loans, thanks to warranties and dealer backing. Without that cushion, lenders fear higher defaults. And when banks start pulling back, credit tightens, making the squeeze even worse. This isn't a hiccup, it's a collapse. The safe bet of the auto world has turned into a gamble nobody wants to play. Dealerships lose a dependable profit machine. Buyers lose trust. Banks lose confidence. Furthermore, the certified pre-owned label, which was formerly a sign of security, is now merely a meaningless sticker. If even certified pre-owned cars are crumbling, what chance do entry-level luxury brands have? Acura, Infiniti, and Buick are disappearing fast.
The cost of a new vehicle averaging about $49,000 and the average cost of a new truck being over $64,000, it really should come as no surprise as to why people are voting with their pocketbooks and saying no thank you now. And well, that puts dealerships in a very sticky position.
For decades, the entry-level luxury market was pitched as the best of both worlds, a touch of prestige without the eye-watering price tag. Automobiles such as the Buick Regal, Infiniti Q50, and Acura TLX provided customers with a way to experience luxury without going over budget. But by 2025, that gateway is practically boarded up, and the entire segment is hanging by a thread. The sales charts tell the story. Acura's US numbers dropped 13% in 2023, Infiniti down nearly 20%, scraping its lowest sales in decades. Buick isn't faring any better. Its survival hinges almost entirely on China, where sales crashed 26% in 2024. In North America, that leaves dealers holding the bag, shrinking demand, shrinking profits, and shrinking futures. Many are already consolidating or closing entirely. The problem is identity. Or are these cars even for anymore? Buyers looking for real luxury are skipping Acura and Infiniti altogether and going straight to BMW, Mercedes, and Lexus. Meanwhile, practical buyers are realizing they don't need a luxury badge to get luxury features. Mainstream brands are eating the entry luxury segment alive. Look at Hyundai's Palisade Calligraphy, Kia's Telluride SX Prestige, or Toyota's Grand Highlander Platinum, loaded with tech, comfort, and safety. All for $10,000 to $15,000, less than a comparable Acura or Infiniti. When a Toyota feels more upscale than a so-called luxury car, you know the segment is in trouble. For dealerships, the fallout is brutal. Infiniti has already slashed its US dealer network by over 15% in the past 5 years, and more closures are expected in 2025. Acura, even with new EVs like the ZDX, is struggling to generate buzz. Buick dealers, meanwhile, are stuck in limbo, forced to gamble big on GM's electrification plans or risk being cut out of the game entirely. Then there's Tesla, the elephant in the showroom. Model 3 and Y have completely taken over this market and hogged the spotlight. Model Y sold over 1.2 million times in 2024, which not only makes it popular but also the best-selling car in the world. Against that, Acura's 145,000 and Infiniti's 64,000 sales look like rounding errors. Buyers craving innovation and status aren't browsing Acura's website, they're tapping into Tesla's app. This all feeds into a vicious cycle. Dealers make less money when there are fewer purchases. Less money is spent on showrooms, customer service, and the overall customer experience when revenues are lower. That makes the brands feel even less premium, which drives even more customers away. By 2025, the writing is on the wall. Unless Acura, Infiniti, and Buick can completely reinvent themselves, the entry-level luxury segment may vanish altogether. And if they fail, it won't just be the end of the market. It'll be an end of a dream that carried generations of buyers into the world of luxury. Entry-level luxury may be slipping away, but muscle cars are heading for the scrapyard of history. The roar of the V8 is being silenced for good.
And if prices continue to go up, at some point, it's the dealerships ultimately that are the ones that are going to take it in the shorts. Now, I'm not here crying for the dealerships, but think about it. I mean, they try and work on certain profit margins.
For generations, muscle cars were the loud, unapologetic heartbeat of American car culture. The thunder of a Dodge Charger rolling down Main Street, the aggressive stance of a Chevy Camaro parked at the diner. These weren't just cars, they were cultural icons. They represented freedom, rebellion, and raw power. But in 2025, that dream is running on fumes. The once mighty muscle car is becoming less of a legend and more of a liability. The numbers are sobering. Back in 2024, Chevrolet moved 88,000 Camaros. Fast forward to 2023, and that figure has cratered to just 31,000. That's a jaw-dropping 65% collapse in under a decade. General Motors finally pulled the plug, announcing Camaro's discontinuation. Dodge didn't hold out much longer. 2023 marked the swan song for the Charger and Challenger as we've known them. So what went wrong? So first, the gas station. By the year 2022, the average cost of gas for the nation surpassed $5 per gallon, which is a new record. Families are now deciding whether to eat, pay rent, and get to work. A 15-mile-per-gallon vehicle is not only impractical, it is the road to financial disaster. The very engines that once made muscle cars desirable are now symbols of waste in a market obsessed with efficiency. And then comes the regulators. States like California, alongside federal mandates, are tightening emission rules to the point where massive V8s are essentially outlawed by economics. Retrofitting thirsty engines to comply is costly and impractical. Automakers see the writing on the wall. Why sink millions into saving a niche when billions are being poured into EV platforms? The muscle car isn't just under attack, it's being regulated out of existence. But perhaps the most brutal blow comes from culture itself. The buyers who worshipped V8s and boomers and Gen X are aging out. Millennials and Gen Z simply don't connect with the same dream. Their cool looks different. A Tesla Model 3 with blistering acceleration, or a Hyundai Ioniq 5 packed with tech. Even Ford has acknowledged the shift. Its Mustang Mach-E, a fully electric crossover, outsold the traditional Mustang coupe in multiple markets in 2023. The message is clear. Speed and style still matter, but burning gas for the sake of noise, that era is ending. The fallout at dealerships is brutal. For years, muscle cars weren't just cars, they were magnets. A bright red Challenger in the front row pulled in customers who might leave with a Dodge minivan or a Ram truck. Now those cars are gone, leaving holes in showrooms and in balance sheets. Dodge dealers are holding their breath, hoping Stellantis' upcoming all-electric Charger Daytona can capture the same magic. But magic is hard to bottle twice. The muscle car era may be burning out, but it's not the only icon on life support. Even the family sedan, once the backbone of American driveways, is running out of road.
Means is the only reason why people aren't buying these is because they feel like they can get a better deal on a used car. And so although those discounts are pretty big, they're not big enough to pull people back into the new car market, meaning those discounts need to get even bigger to pull people to buy those cars.
Walk into a dealership service bay in 2025 and you'll see the truth about sedans. Not brand new Camrys and Accords waiting for delivery, but decades-old workhorses patched together with new transmissions, fresh brake lines, and exhaust fixes. These cars should have been traded years ago, but owners are clinging to them like lifelines, and right there in that service bay, you can see the slow death of the family sedan. Sedans were the cornerstone of American life for many years. The Toyota Camry and Honda Accord, which stood for dependability, security, and middle-class stability, became cultural icons. With a hint of sportiness, Nissan's Altima provided the same. These vehicles, which sold in hundreds of thousands annually, dominated suburbia in the 90s and early 2000s. But today, their dominance is a memory. Families aren't trading in for newer models every 5 years anymore. They're squeezing every last mile out of their old sedans, often keeping them for 10, 15, even 20 years. The stats are brutal. The average age of a vehicle in America has hit 13.6 years, the oldest it's ever been. 10 years ago, swapping cars once the warranty expired was the norm. Now, with the average new car price sitting at nearly $48,000 and payments pushing past $700 a month, buyers are doing the math. Spend $1,000 on repairs a year or sign up for a crushing loan. For millions, it's not even a question. That decision keeps service bays busy, but sales floors empty. The sales collapse tells the same story. Toyota Camry sales peaked in 2007 at a staggering 472,000. In 2023, they barely hit 290,000. The Honda Accord, once a juggernaut, fell from 388,000 in 2014 to under 200,000 in 2023. Nissan Altima, once a 300,000 unit player, it limped to just 139,000 in 2023. That's not a dip, it's a free fall. Dealers feel it the hardest. Sedans used to be bread and butter volume, the dependable sales that kept the lights on. Today, customers either hold on to their old cars until they collapse, or skip sedans entirely and go straight for SUVs and crossovers. That leaves dealers stranded, service departments packed, but showrooms barren. Many are consolidating to survive. Others are closing outright. The irony? Sedans themselves are better than ever. A 2025 Camry or Accord is safer, smarter, and more fuel efficient than anything that came before it. But none of that matters when buyers don't care. In a market obsessed with bigger vehicles, sedans have gone from must-have family car to ghost of the past. Unless manufacturers find a way to reinvent the segment, we may be watching the quiet extinction of an American staple, and the dealerships that depend on it. The family sedan may be fading into obscurity, but even the cars that once defined success aren't safe. Luxury showrooms, once buzzing with eager buyers, are now echo chambers of silence.
The whole car market has been declining, well, at least not the new car market, but the used car market has been declining for months on end, and the luxury car market has been hit harder than any other segment. And
imagine entering a luxury dealership in 2025. A few years ago, being the luxury dealership felt like being in a temple of success. The glass walls sparkled, the floor was polished to a mirror shine, and all the BMWs, Mercedes, Audis, and Lexus models were lined up like trophies, just waiting for a new owner. Salespeople in designer suits floated across the showroom, offering champagne, espresso, and test drives like they were handing out invitations to an elite club. Now the silence is deafening. Espresso machines hum for no one. Salesmen lean on desks, scrolling their phones, waiting for customers who never come. Cars that once symbolized arrival, E-Class sedans, BMW 5 Series, Lexus RX SUVs, just sit there gathering dust. And the reason is brutally simple. Luxury has priced itself out of reach. Leasing, once the cheat code for driving a brand new luxury car every few years, has exploded in cost. Not long ago, you could slide into a Mercedes E-Class for under $600 a month. Today, that same lease pushes past $1,200. That's not a car payment anymore, that's a mortgage. And the pain doesn't stop there. Insurance premiums, especially on luxury models, have doubled in just the last few years. Even the wealthy are stepping back. Why pour $1,200 a month into keeping up appearances when that money could cover a vacation in Europe, beef up an investment portfolio, or help pay down a second home? The math just doesn't add up anymore. The buyers know it. This shift is tearing apart the ritual that kept these brands alive. For decades, luxury owners upgraded like clockwork, trading in every 3 to 4 years for a fresh set of keys, a new badge, and a sense of prestige. But now those same loyalists are staring at lease quotes that feel like highway robbery. Instead of upgrading, they're holding on to 8 or even 10-year-old cars, racking up miles and realizing their older BMW or Lexus still does the job, without the crushing payments. Dealerships are typically the first to feel the pain. They may have rows of unsold cars taking up their lots. Sales managers are cutting prices, throwing unprecedented rebates, tossing in free maintenance plans, etc. Still, buyers walk. Showrooms that once sparkled with possibilities now feel rattled, the ridiculous inventory weighing heavily on their shoulders. And it's not just a sales slump, it's an identity crisis. Luxury imports used to thrive on aspiration. Owning one wasn't just about transportation, it was a lifestyle marker. When aspiration comes with a $1,200 monthly bill and insurance that rivals health premiums, even loyal buyers are saying, forget it. The fallout is massive. Dealers are bleeding cash. Manufacturers are rethinking their US strategies, and the prestige of driving a German or Japanese luxury badge is losing its grip. What was once the crown jewel of the auto industry is turning into a cautionary tale about excess, inflation, and changing priorities. Luxury hasn't lost its shine, but it may have lost its buyers. Luxury cars are collapsing under their own excess, but on the other end of the spectrum, the cheapest cars on the market are disappearing too. The subcompact, the first car for millions of drivers, is now on the brink of extinction.
The problem is right now the amount. So the amounts are too much for these dealerships to overcome.
For many years, subcompact cars were the scrappy, ungainly dogs of the road. Not pretty, not showy, but economical, and easier to park in a small space as opposed to a full-sized vehicle. For millions of Americans, the Chevy Spark, Mitsubishi Mirage, or Kia Rio wasn't just a car, it was freedom with your budget. But by 2025, that freedom is gone. The subcompact market is practically extinct. The numbers don't lie. General Motors pulled the plug on the Chevy Spark in 2022, despite its under $15,000 price tag, making it one of the last truly cheap new cars in America. The Mitsubishi Mirage, once a poster child for budget driving, has seen US sales collapse by nearly 70% since 2019. Kia followed suit, phasing out the Rio after 2023. Together, these models used to sell in the hundreds of thousands. Today, they're nothing but memories in dealership archives. So what killed the subcompact? 2 words: money talks. Automakers make pennies selling tiny cars, but thousands selling crossovers and SUVs. A Chevy Spark sale barely kept the lights on at a dealership, while a Chevy Trax or Nissan Kicks could be loaded up with packages and financing deals that pumped profit margins sky high. Add in rising production costs and stricter safety regulations, and suddenly building subcompacts wasn't just unprofitable, it was a liability. But here's where it gets real. In small towns and working-class neighborhoods, cars like the Spark and Rio weren't starter cars, they were lifelines. A $14,000 brand new car meant a single mom, a college kid, or retiree could buy reliable transportation without drowning in debt. With those cars gone, dealerships in rural America are dying too. The National Automobile Dealership Association reports that over 400 small-town dealerships have closed in the last 3 years, many tied directly to the disappearance of low-cost models. When those dealers vanish, entire communities lose access to affordable transportation. By 2024, the few Mirages left on dealer lots were rare sightings, and often marked up way above sticker price. Suddenly, a car that was supposed to be budget-friendly cost almost as much as a compact SUV. That forced buyers into the used market, but guess what? Used cars aren't cheap anymore. The average used car price hit $26,091 in 2024, making even second-hand vehicles a stretch for first-time buyers. And don't think automakers don't know what they're doing. Instead of giving us true budget cars, they've rebranded compact SUVs as the new affordable option. Hyundai pushes the Venue, Nissan pushes the Kicks, but these so-called entry-level crossovers start at $23,000 to $25,000. That's a massive leap from the $14,000 Spark or $16,000 Mirage. Buyers are forced into longer loans, bigger payments, or hanging on to their old cars longer than ever. No surprise the average car on US roads just hit a record 12.6 years old according to S&P Global. The fallout is bigger than just sales charts. Automakers are walking away from the very people who built their brands. Students, first-time buyers, retirees, and working-class families. Even cheap EVs aren't a solution. The most affordable electric models still start above $25,000, leaving the same groups of buyers stranded. By 2025, the obituary is written. No more Spark, no more Rio. The Mirage is on its deathbed, and with them goes the last real shot at owning a brand new car under $20,000. Affordability may be disappearing with subcompacts, but at the very bottom of the style spectrum, another icon is vanishing: the convertible. Once the ultimate symbol of freedom on the open road is now facing extinction.
People who want to keep up with the Jones are wanting to trade in for their next car because they want to keep that brand new car every 3 to 4 years. Well, when they trade in again, they're going to be even further underwater on their cars. And at some point, the train has to stop.
Once the ultimate symbol of freedom, youth, and carefree weekends, the convertible is now one of the most endangered species in the auto world. The decline isn't just steady, it's a free fall. In 2006, Americans snapped up nearly 190,000 convertibles. By 2022, that number had plunged to around 40,000, a collapse of almost 80% in under 2 decades. What was once the dream weekend car is now being squeezed out by practicality, cost, and shifting consumer tastes. The biggest problem? Convertibles simply don't fit modern life. Families want space, commuters want fuel efficiency, and younger drivers want tech and affordability. The soft-top 2-door checks none of those boxes. Instead, the market is tilted hard toward SUV and crossovers, which made up 56% of all US sales in 2023, while convertibles barely cracked 1%. Then there's safety. Without a fixed roof, convertibles struggle with rigidity and crash test scores compared to hardtops. Add in laughably small trunks, cramped back seats, and sky-high repair bills, and it's hard for the average buyer to justify the premium just for the top-down experience. And that premium isn't small. Insurance on convertibles run 20 to 30% higher than on comparable coupes or sedans, thanks to theft risk and costly repairs. A new top alone can cost $1,500 to $4,000, and weather-related wear and tear is far more common. The joy of open-air driving comes with a bill that most people no longer want to pay. Automakers aren't blind to this math. Developing a convertible is costly, requiring unique engineering and safety testing. But the sales volume just isn't there. That's why brands like Chrysler, Volkswagen, and Volvo have completely exited the segment. Even the Mazda MX-5 Miata and Ford Mustang convertible, icons of the category, are seeing sales slide, clinging on more as nostalgia pieces than moneymakers. Demographics make the picture even worse. Convertibles used to be dream cars for younger drivers, but today their core buyers are boomers in their 50s and 60s. Millennials and Gen Z simply aren't interested. Less than 2% of Gen Z car shoppers even consider convertible, compared to 10% of boomers 2 decades ago. Instead, they're chasing EVs, crossovers, and trucks that better match their lifestyles. And it's not just America. In Europe, once the land of roadsters, convertibles have collapsed too. Peugeot, Renault, and Opel don't offer any. Even BMW and Mercedes have slashed their lineups to 1 or 2 Halo models. From sunny California to the Italian coast, buyers are trading roadsters for luxury SUVs. The EV shift only accelerates the death spiral. Making an electric convertible is a nightmare. The extra weight needed for structural rigidity cuts directly into range. The #1 priority for EV buyers. For most automakers, math just doesn't add up. The writing is on the wall. By 2025, the convertible may be only a handful of low-volume models, kept alive more for the image than for demand. The symbol of open road freedom is fading, and will soon join the ranks of station wagons and 2-door coupes in the archives of history. Unless something drastic changes, the convertible won't just be rare, it'll be a relic. And there you have it. 7 car markets collapsing before our very eyes, with dealerships shutting their doors for good in 2025. Hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss what's happening in the auto world. And if you want to know which cars are already money traps, click the video on your screen. It could save you thousands.